Welcome to my music. Hello, everybody. And today I'm going to be joined by the wonderful Mandy. Her name was Mandy, who's coming all the way from the United States to talk to us today. What time is it there?
It is 10:45 in the morning.
10:45. She's just getting going. We're just thinking about going off to the beach. That's the way that the day rolls. You might be listening to this at any time of the day, on any day. That's the way that the internet works. So once things go up to Spotify and all of that, who knows when people are listening to it? You might be about to close your eyes and go to sleep, and you've just decided to have us on your pillow for the next 10 minutes or so. We hope you enjoy it whenever you're listening to it. And we will be talking to Mandy straight after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Mandy, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'll tell you what, one of your little videos that you put on Instagram that really resonated with me straight away was your little Instagram video where you said, "I can't sing." That was brilliant. And I'll tell you why it resonated with me. So many moons ago, when I was 21, I was in the sign band, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was the singer. And I had awful trouble with my throat area.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up going to see loads and loads of specialists. And actually, for me, one of the big issues was back in the day, and you don't get this in pubs and clubs and things in the UK anymore because it's all banned,
Mm-hmm.
but people used to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out I was allergic to that. Right.
Oh, that messes with me too, for sure.
Awful sinus problems,
Mm-hmm.
throat problems, like used to get like this all became inflamed.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "You smoke?" I said, "No, I don't smoke." They said, "You're somewhere smoky." I said, "Yeah, I am. Every night I'm singing in places where people smoke." They said, "You're allergic," and they did a load of tests and they said, "You're allergic to that."
Oh, wow. Well, good to know.
It's really good to know, but it was a real nightmare if you wanted to then sing in.
Well, so something like that happened to me. I was in Germany and I had like this big show, and the whole backstage area, everybody was smoking, and it was so cold outside. So it's not like I could just leave the room and go outside. I had to sit in that smoke. And I told the DJ, this is at the time I was doing stuff for DJs. And I said, there's no way I can sing live now. My voice is done just from being in this room for 2 or 3 hours. And I had to lip sync the show, unfortunately. But I was like, my voice was gone. It was crazy. But yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
But you you were talking on that video about the need to find out how to sing properly. It's amazing, isn't it? Well, when you have learned how to sing one particular way and you've probably learned all of these bad habits over the years,
Mm-hmm.
you can control it. How difficult was that to then relearn the right way?
I'm still in the process. So
Right.
I went to a vocal teacher and I knew right away what was going on. I knew I was singing incorrectly. I just didn't know how to stop singing incorrectly because I've been singing that way for 20 years.
Right.
And so I knew it was going to be a long journey. I'm still on that journey. But yeah, she was just like, yeah, we have to completely rewire your brain and how you think of singing. And so I'm in the process now of just completely relearning how to sing.
Wow.
And it's cool because I'm really discovering that the voice is truly an instrument. Like there are just so many different things you can do with your voice that I didn't realize. But on that same note, it's also challenging because there's so many different things I need to learn now that I didn't even know about.
Yeah.
So It's been interesting and illuminating, but there is hope. So
Yeah.
and I think at the end of this, my voice will be better than it's ever been. So I'm excited
Ever.
to just get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you discovered a part of your voice that you didn't know was there? Is there a lower range to your voice, or a higher range to your voice, or
Well,
in the
I've
middle that you
always
never managed to touch particularly well?
exactly, it's the middle voice. I've always used, I'm a very chest dominant singer, and I
Yeah.
sing everything in chest, even the notes where I'm not supposed to be in chest. I was singing in chest. So the teacher was like, okay, you got chest voice and you got your head voice, but you have this whole middle range, this what's called the mixed voice. She's like, you're not using that at all. Um, so that's what I'm training right now is my middle range, my
Okay. So you're getting
mixed
more power.
voice.
You're getting more power in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now it's really weak because I've never used it. So she's training me on how to strengthen that part of my voice so I don't just completely trash my voice and won't be able to sing in a couple years. So
That's cool.
yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah. And have you heard different tones in your voice as well with all of this?
Yeah. So she's teaching me, again, going back to how the voice is an instrument, she's teaching me how I can use different tones and completely change my voice for different, types of songs or just different types of emotions I'm trying to convey in a song. And it's been really fun because I didn't know I had these parts of my voice. Like she was like, "Oh, you can almost hit those Mariah Carey whistle notes." And I'm like, "What?" Like I had no idea that I was even capable of that, but she's teaching me how to do stuff like that, and it's just amazing.
Thank God for these teachers, right?
Yes, I mean it's amazing because the other thing is I've always looked at singing as it was kind of hard. I was like, wow, singing feels really hard to me, and she was like, no, it should feel completely effortless, and so that's what I'm trying to learn is how to make it just feel easy and be easy.
Yeah. Has she this is an interesting question. Has she turned you on to any artists that you didn't know about?
Yes.
Okay.
Remy Wolf.
Remy. Yeah.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah.
So she brought her up in one of our lessons, and she's like, "Have you ever listened to Remy Wolf?" And I'm like, "No."
She's got power, Remy.
But she has an amazing mixed voice, and I always, so I went to listen to her, and before my lessons, I would have thought she was just belting and screaming her way through those songs, but no, she's in a mixed voice, and it's incredible. So I've been listening to a ton of her stuff, and I love it.
That last album as well. It's so good.
So good. And I love that she just does not give a shit. Like she will just sing about whatever she wants, say whatever she wants. I love it. So good.
Even look like she wants.
Yes. I love it.
Oh, it's encouraging. That's great.
For sure.
You're learning a lot.
Yeah.
Is every day a school day for you, music-wise?
Right now it is. I'm also like trying to teach myself how to produce my own music, which is harder than I thought. Like I have so much more respect for music producers now. Because there's just so much that goes into it that, as a vocalist, I've never had to think about. So between that and, relearning how to sing, it's been, every day I'm in school pretty much.
Yeah. This is not where you wanted to find yourself at this point in your career, but you're glad you did, presumably.
Yeah. Well, I think it was,
otherwise you may not have had a career
right. Well, I think a lot of it was fear. When I was younger. And also I just got to a point in my life where I'm like, all right, I want to improve. I want to be better.
Every day should be that. Every day.
I want to go to somebody and have somebody help me. Cause I think when you're younger, you kind of think you know everything and I don't need training. I don't need help. Like I'm a natural. And now that I'm a bit older, I'm just like, no, I need help. And I need someone to show me what I'm capable of because I had no idea. So,
do you know what? I don't even think it's an age thing. I think there's a lot of people my age, and I'm considerably older than you, but I think there's a lot of people my age that think they know it all. And I think the day that you stop going, I can get better at this. I
Mhm.
can, I actually, there are people out there that are better than me, and I need to get their advice, and I need to seek those people out and go on that journey and continue to go on that journey. I think the day that you stop doing that is when you should actually stop.
Yeah,
Right.
you're absolutely right. Hmm.
You know,
Well, it's the
and
same with writing songs. I'm like, I don't want to be the best one in the room. I actually kind of want to be the worst one in the room. So that way I can learn and just be a better writer. And that's always my goal, is like to go into a room and be like, all right, I don't want to go in here and feel like I know everything or that I'm better than everybody in this room. I want to learn from everybody in this room so that I can be better.
That leads me on to an obvious next question, which is actually, if we could put you in a room with 2 or 3 people that you'd like, the money's no object, or, we're just going to make it happen, whoever it is in the world, who would you most like to go in a room with in order to learn your craft?
So this is somebody that I've always wanted to work with since I was little, was Missy Elliott. I feel like her brain is just so creative in a wonderful way. And also Pharrell.
Right.
I love them both. I feel like they're just so unique, and also they're not afraid to be different. And that's always been a dream of mine, to work with both of them and, just have no limits on your creativity. Cause I feel like for them, they have no limits. They just do whatever
you're
feels.
Talking about 2 artists there that managed to create stuff that was quite game changing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And because creating stuff that's like a carbon copy of someone else, but has a unique slant to it, in a way, that's not that difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But creating something where people go, that's your brand, that's, when,
Yeah.
I mean, like, when anyone heard like Get Your Freak On or whatever, and it's like, no one's heard anything like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nobody's done that, right?
Yeah.
That's different, right? That is when you go, well, that's unique. Then everybody copies that, right? So you want to get to a point where like you do something where everybody goes, I've got to copy that now.
Yeah. And I mean, well, it's scary to be different. It's scary to like, if it were me, I'd be like, oh, if I was like Missy or Pharrell, I'd be like, I don't know if I should do that, because it's so weird and different. And that's what I love about them. And they just do it anyway. And it's like you just said, and then people are like, whoa, what is that? And they all start to try to copy that sound. Or like Timbaland too. It's just, I mean, I loved Missy and Timbaland before they were putting out their own stuff, like when they were working with Aaliyah.
Yep.
Who's also one of my favorites. Just their sound was so like, you knew it was them. And they weren't even like singing on the track, but you knew they had something to do with that track because of their style.
Right. Do you know what? There's similarities between the learning of the voice and all of that as well, which is, when you talk about like the headspace and the, getting to hear those notes in your head and focusing on those notes before you even sing them. You can't sing them if they're not in your head, right?
Right.
It's the same with those creative ideas. And I generally believe that those people that are like there as well, they just walk around going, I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing that. That's where my brain's going. I'm just going to do that. They're not actually, I think you can train your brain to be kind of unconscious of whatever else anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
And then that enables you to just confidently go for doing that thing that's very different.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's creativity right there. That's really opening your creative mind, is exactly what you just said, is just being like, I'm just going to do that because that's what's in my head. That's how I'm hearing it. and then being confident in that. Or even if you're not a musician, even if you're just an artist and you're a painter or whatever, like it's the same thing. You just have to like just let whatever's in your head, just let it come out and be what it is.
Do you think a lot of art gets stifled these days, especially in the music scene, because there's almost, dare I say it, I think younger artists know so much about the business of it all now, and like there's so much feedback, like YouTube and everything else and TikTok and whatever. It's like constant like feedback about this is how you do this is how you play this algorithm, this is what you should do with this is how you know, it's almost like the university of life is just constantly throwing stuff back at you to go, do it this way or do it that way. And whereas like years ago when I was in the band, right, you just went, it's me and some mates and we just want to make some music.
Yeah.
And like we don't really know any of this other stuff, right? It's like we're just going to make it happen. But now it's like youngsters like yourself, right? You get shown all of this stuff, so you know what works and what doesn't work, and you're constantly trying to gem up on that. But do you think sometimes it stifles creativity because you almost go, oh well, that ain't gonna work, and retraining your brain to actually go, I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah. Well, everything's so public now. So before social media, you can, you know, kind of experiment and with sounds and stuff, and like if something doesn't work or didn't work out, it wasn't that big of a deal because it wasn't on such a public platform. Like, yeah, you might play in a bar or something or a couple people, but now everything is online and you put it out there and everybody sees it. Also, I think in the industry, there's not at least not in my opinion, a ton of artist development anymore. It's a lot of like, well, let's just put this out there and see what happens. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll just move on to the next. Because there's so many, it's so oversaturated. And it's so easy to find talent now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, if an artist comes along, right, and they've got a great song, and you know they're famous for 20 seconds, that kind of suits everybody.
Yeah. Well, the industry's just changed so much, and honestly, that was a reason I kind of stopped participating for a while, because I wasn't sure how I fit into that. And the reason I kind of got back into it, because like you just said, I was like, I just want to make music. I don't care if it's cool. I don't care if I like get a huge record deal and go on this massive tour. I don't care about any of that. I wanted to go back to the basics of like, I just enjoy doing this and it makes me feel fulfilled. And that's the only reason I'm going to do it from now on, because I think you can get caught up so much in the game of social media and having all these streams on Spotify and, you know, all the likes and the views and stuff. And it really just takes away from the reason you started making music in the first place.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this then. Do you think people now, when they look at you, because that mindset's changed, do you think people actually now see more of the real you? And do you think actually they actually think you're cooler now because of it?
I think it's probably half and half. I'm sure there's people that have been following me for a while, or just people in the industry that I've known for a long time. And I'm sure there's some people being like, why is she still doing this? And then I do think there's the other half that are happy that I'm doing it because it's more organic and natural for me now. I'm not like sticking to a genre. I'm not, you know, I'm just kind of just writing because it's fun. And I don't really have people, what's your goal? I'm like, I don't really have a goal. My goal is just to make music because that's who I am. And it's just what I've always done. And so, yeah, I think it's probably in the middle of where people are just like, okay, she should just give this up. And then there's people that are encouraging me and they're happy to see me back out there and doing it. And, so, yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how I've viewed it, starting up. I mean, I just kind of started putting music out again in January of this year. So yeah, we'll
It's
just
all
see what
gonna
happens.
it's all gonna go well. The thing is, I think when you start being your true authentic self in whatever you do with your art, and you care slightly less about what other people
Oh, for
think there,
sure. For
right?
sure.
I think you find your people better,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think those people then stay with you better as
Mm-hmm.
well, right? Because
Yeah.
they're coming in at a point where you don't give a damn,
Mm-hmm.
and they relate to you because of that.
Yeah.
They relate to you because this is like 100% you doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick Rubin said famously, right, he never produces an album for an audience.
Mm-hmm.
He produces an album for him, because if he likes it, then other people will like it. It's the right way to go.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned him because a lot of his like quotes will come up on my Instagram feed. And a lot of it was inspiring to me because I was holding back on releasing music. And I was like, oh, I don't want to release that. People are going to be like, what is she doing? Or, who does she think she is? Whatever. You get in your mind about it. And I actually saw a lot of his quotes and I was just like, I'm going to just put the music out. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing.
Exciting. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm excited for this. I'm excited that you're excited. That's the best way it should go. Now, listen, in your song, you say that, are you crying? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How important is that? Right? Because us men in particular, we're not great at that.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
The Cure wrote a great song about it years ago, right? Boys don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what I'm, as I say, I'm old now, but what are younger men like? I mean, do they cry? Or are they really good at pretending to cry? Or what's the deal there?
Well, for me, I wrote that song. So I had the concept in mind, and my one and only breakup that I've had was, many, many, many years ago. But that was like the one thing on my mind. I'm like, are you crying? We were together for so long. Did you shed one tear over us breaking up and it being over? Because we were still very much friends. We were still very much in each other's lives. But that's all I wanted to ask him was like, did you cry for me? Like, were you that sad? Like I was, like, and especially, when it's a man, like for some reason that made me feel like if he did cry, like, yes, like this meant something. You actually care about me. And that, and I just felt like I want to write that song because I feel like people must wonder that. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I wonder if he cried. Like, that would be a pretty big deal if he cried over me, So that's how that song came out. And it was really easy to write because I just kind of wrote it from my experience at that time. So.
And also, I just wonder whether, like, there's a lot of people these days that are pretty good at, like, showing emotion on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
But actually just seemingly seem to just get past relationships really easily on the inside. Like 3 days later they're dating somebody else and they're going off and they're doing their thing and whatever. And I think there's a lot of struggle with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like do you feel like it's a song that this generation needs as well, right? In terms
because part of the song is also in the verses. I'm saying like, I don't even care if you start dating somebody else or if you're at the bar and you go home with somebody else, because I kind of think that when we do break up with somebody, that's kind of what we force ourselves to do to move on. It doesn't mean that we aren't still heartbroken or we don't care about that person. So that stuff in the song was not important to me. It was more like, I want to know what happens when you go home and you're by yourself. Like, are you still sad about me? Because especially today, it's so easy to, you know, you could just go on an app and meet somebody, you know, like it's so easy to just find that rebound. So that stuff, and at least in this song, was not important. It was just more of like, I don't care what you're actually doing. I just want to know how you feel.
And do you feel like some of that comes out of the tech culture, the swipe culture, the fact that like people literally swipe onto the next relationship almost, right?
Yeah. It's a lot of it's very superficial, and that's what this song is about. It's like, you know, that stuff doesn't even matter anymore because it is so easy to just go on an app or slide into someone's DMs or whatever. And, you know, I also think a lot of people hide that part of themselves in a breakup. They don't want people to see that they're struggling or that they're heartbroken, especially men. And, you know, that's just kind of the purpose of the song, is like, I want to know if deep down you're upset about this, and, you know, all the other stuff doesn't matter.
And the other thing is you kind of put it together in a lovely sort of pop package as well, which kind of makes it much more palatable. But
yeah,
kind of final question then for you today, and thank you for taking your time out of your day to come and talk to me. Then is, so in reaction to that song, how many kind of comments about how emotively it's meant something to people have you had from women as opposed to men? But yeah, have you had some quite interesting comments from men about that song?
No, not really men.
No.
But I know my girls know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I don't, and again, we also live in a culture where for men, it's not cool to cry, and it's not cool to say that you have cried. So no, I haven't had like a ton of guys come out to me and say like, oh, this resonated with me.
Okay, so we need the challenge now.
Yes,
from
there
this
you go.
Conversation going out, right?
But it's still like what you just said. I kind of wrapped it in a pop package. So, but I still think guys like to listen to it because it's not like this sad. Like I kind of did that on purpose, where I was like, oh, it's kind of a fun pop track, but it's kind of a sad concept, and a little depressing. But so I think that's, you know, people still want to listen to it. But yeah, I have had women be like, man, like I still wonder that to this day if they cried over our breakup.
Do you know what? I think we should use this opportunity as a bit of an armistice for men.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A bit of like an honesty box. So if you're listening to this interview and then you go and listen to Mandy's song, right, and you hear it and you're a bloke, right, just go and drop in the comment section of her Instagram or whatever. Just go and be honest and say you've done that. You've literally moved on to from one relationship, which, you know, and I'm not talking about like a week or something, but, you know, a decent relationship, and you've moved on and you haven't cried and you've just managed to move on. Just release that now.
Yeah.
In the honesty box.
Yes.
Let's get thousands of men saying it.
And even if you haven't cried, just let me know if you've thought about it or you almost cried.
Yes. She needs to know.
Just a little something.
Know.
Yeah.
Just a little something. Give her something back. Mandy, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today.
You too.
Thank you so much for coming to join me. When you next get to the UK, do check out more of the UK.
I would love to.
Some other bits of it as well. Go to the seaside, dip your toes in the sand. You know,
what a dream. I would love to do that.
Go and see Stonehenge or something like that and wander around the circle. Yeah, you got to do it.
For sure.
Got to do it. That's going to be marvelous. Folks, this is the wonderful Mandy Ventrice. Do go and check her out on the Instagram. Do go and check her out on Spotify. We will be adding some tracks of hers to the My Music Podcast playlist to make it easy for you to find.
Thank you.
And if you've enjoyed her music and if you've enjoyed her talking, do go and let her know. We will be back soon with more My Music. But until then, from Mandy and I, bye for now.
Thank you.